Hello, we're back. We're back. Welcome back to another episode of cEDH Bling Builds. As we wrap up the year of 2023, our year of our Lord and Savior, I come to you with a juicy Demir Bling deck tech video of Talion the Kindly Lord. Talion is Demir, and she's not an infinite ice concept, a dramatic versatile outlet for the first time. It's really nice. It's really refreshing to have a legend in my favorite colors that isn't just another outlet for ISO Rev. But what she does present is a little bit of a control shell that kind of just wants to outvalue your opponents. Now, normally, Talion is seen in many 99s, which she has earned her slot. But if you could drop like a turn 2 Talion, draw a ton of cards, you're going to be pretty far ahead of your opponents, and that's the game plan here. We're trying to drop an early Talion, protect her a little bit, gain a lot of value, gain a ton of advantage, and eventually find our Authorical Consult. That's the unfortunate thing, being in two colors. With the absence of red, we really only have the Authorical Consult as our win condition. Talion's not a win condition in the command zone, and so that's all we have, which is not great. She's not a particular beaters type of deck. You're gonna get in with Talion. Don't forget to swing with her every opportunity that you have, since she is a 3/4 flying body. But maybe you could whittle down your opponents with their loss of life. But for the most of the time, you're just playing a mid to long game and find your Authorical Consult combo, whether it's naturally drawing into it, tutoring for it, playing it through your opponents, or another not so great piece of tech that I've included, a blast from the past, that we'll see in just a moment. So what is it that Talion does? What is it? Why is she in the 99 of so many decks? Well, Talion, when she actually ETBs, you'll call a number between 1 and 10, and the number is going to be 2. For the most part, that number will be 2. In casual pods, believe it or not, I think the number is 3. But for the most part, the number is going to be 2. Seldomly, it's going to be 1. It depends how early you drop her. It depends on your matchups too. And then, of course, whenever opponent casts a spell with that value, or with a power or toughness equal to that chosen number, they'll lose 2 life and you draw a card. Now that 2 life is going to matter. It matters a lot, so please make sure that you're keeping track of life points when you play your Talion deck, because if you're in the mid to late game, long match that you're in for with a sort of deck, with the sort of meta that we're in right now, a loss of life, whether it's your opponent fetching or shocking or taking a Talion 2 points of damage, it is very important, very important, and it does matter. So let's get into the deck tech. So you know how we do things on the channel, always both arts. Okay. So like I said before, the only thing we really have going for us in terms of win conditions is the Authorical Consult combo. It's free. Too free of a card combo to not include when you're in these colors. And then of course a Tainted Pact in the back pocket. And like I always mention, when your opponent's Authorical Pact you, make them play it out, because I've been noticing, especially when I look on in subs on Reddit, people share their deck lists and they will have 55 islands, 55 swamps, and that shit does not fly with a Tainted Pact. So if you're against like a scrubbier player who just so happens to Authorical Pact, make them play it out. Now, the Throwback Thursday card we have in this deck is a Laboratory Maniac. Why? Not because it's the greatest, but we can hard cast it, not really worry about it too much, right? And if there's a Talion trigger on the stack, we could then pact or consult for the win on an opponent's turn, or something like that. So that's pretty neat. And that's it for win cons. Of course, later we'll find like a Praetor's Grasp, so we can use our opponent's Thoracle Consult, maybe if we're lucky. A lot of people in non-wheel decks like to use throw in a Mnemonic Betrayal. I can't run a card like that without wheels. One, because I'll draw into it like turn 2 every time. And in my opinion, there are a lot less turbo strategies at the table in cEDH matchups. It's more mid-range, grindy value engines. So there are a lot less things in the graveyard. And then with like a pod having 4 Orcish Bowmasters, you're not seeing as many wheels as you used to. So keep that in mind. I'm not a fan of Mnemonic Betrayal outside of a wheels deck. Let's go into our creatures, some of our hate bears. We have a Dothy Voidwalker, Opposition Agent. Of course, the Orcish Bowmaster, just too good of a card. Some removal sort of creatures. We have Subtlety. We're in 2 colors, we're in low colors, so I would include a Subtlety and just play around with it, have fun with it. In a 3-color deck, I probably would never run a Subtlety, even if my deck is really heavy on blue. A new addition, we have a Kite Sail Larcenist, just giving it a try. Some people said they dropped it from their lists. Whatever, I think it's still a pretty neat card. Gets rid of the One Ring, among other things, and temporarily. And I think it's just overall a good card. You could get rid of the hate bear that's keeping you from going off or something like that, right? An Orcish, right? When you're trying to win through a Laboratory Maniac. I think little things like that are really important and impactful targets for your Kite Sail. Malevolent Hermit, which of course flips into Benevolent Geist. I'm not really going heavy on like loops or non-creature spell loops, but I guess the front side is a nice, juicy hard counter to a lot of people. You'll catch them all the time. You don't have to necessarily just loot the Hermit into your graveyard. You can hard cast it and just hold up the mana and keep your opponent from I don't know, going crazy, going stupid. You have a Spellskite in the deck. Again, we're in very low colors, so I like the Skite, and it's a simple way of like protecting an Talion. I don't go overboard with the boots in this deck, but there have been moments, there have been occasions where the Spellskite has had redirected to itself for like big important plays. For our drawing creatures, I like Ledger Shredder in the deck. One, it plays around the Bowmaster, so that's kind of fun. Unless you're me, then all you're going to be doing is pitching lands, because that's all you draw into. But Ledger Shredder is, in my opinion, even without flash, even when you're just casting it on your turn, still good enough, especially with when you're dealing with like 3 other Bowmasters. Mastermind, too good. Flavor Text for its ability. Notion Thief, I know he just gets a simple finger bang by a Orcish, but let them do that, right? But you're still going to get a lot of value from the Notion Thief. I went over this deck a couple of times and really sorted out my 4 drops, and each time Notion Thief does make the cut. I like him a lot. People are drawing like crazy still, even in mid-range strategies. Now, we have the Gilded Drink, but me and my pod have come to this realization that because everyone's playing like really, really, really juicy uh, value creatures, we've decided to just kind of like maximize on the efficient clones, and so that's what I have going on right now. I would imagine at some point in 2024, someone's going to build like a clone tribal deck, mid-range, a mid-range clones tribal deck, just to, um, you know, I don't know, take advantage of the opponent's creatures. So we have the Gildrake to just take away very important things, Malcolms, Kinnons, stuff like that. Anything really that you need to. We have the Phantasmal Image. That's nothing new. And we have the Phyrexian Metamorph. But we also have the Flesh Duplicator. I know it has the fading, vanishing, but that's not necessary. It's not really important. The game should be being closed out before then. But Flesh Duplicate is a really good card. People will say it's the best card from Doctor Who, but I think there's a different card that might be a little bit better that's in this deck. And so let's move on to our instants and sorcerers. We'll have some of our counter magic. We have Dispel, Swan Song, Flusterstorm, an offer you can't refuse, Delay, Mana Drain, Mental Misstep, Fierce Guardianship, Force of Negation, Mind Break Trap, Pact of Negation, and a Force of Will. Moving along, we have our removal package. We have Pongify, Rapid Hybridization, Deadly Frolic, Resculpt. Resculpt is really important, especially for those one rings. Cyber Conversion, I think, is probably the best card from Doctor Who. I don't know why more lists are not on Cyber Conversion. Maybe it's because it's double blue, but Cyber Conversion is an incredibly strong card. You know, it's very impactful when you turn a really important vanilla creature into... it's really impactful when you turn a really important commander into a 2/2 vanilla creature. It doesn't remove it from the board. It just flips it upside down, so they can't, tuck it back into the deck, tuck it back into the command zone, and something like that. It's just a simple, pseudo unblockable 2/2 vanilla, and so you just take a lot of opponents immediately out of the game with that. Chain of Vapor, March Swirling Mist, Cyclonic Rift, Toxic Deluge. Deluge is definitely back. Very creature heavy meta currently. Mists of Lorien, which is another new card. I'm giving it a try. There are a couple of things I would love to bounce back. Mists of Lorien also plays around Talion. Talion's a 4 CMC, so I can easily pick 1, 2, 3, things like that with the replicate, and she's fine. She avoids being bounced back. But there are a handful of things I would love to bounce back in this deck. Yahini's Expertise is another old card that I'm giving a try, because the -3/-3 goes doesn't kill the Talion. The same reason why I think who was a Tivit decks are teching Languish, because the -4/-4 doesn't kill Tivit. This is the same reason. And then I could probably drop like a free 3 CMC or less spell from my hand, which is pretty neat in my book. Moving on to our tutors, we have Imperial Seal, Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, Mystical Tutor, Lindell's Vault. Beseech the Mirror. Some people have been cutting it from their lists. They played around with it. It didn't do the trick. I don't know what they're talking about. Every time I play Beseech the Mirror, it's like a bomb of a card. It usually ends the game. It's like having two Thorkels in the deck. So Beseech the Mirror is very, 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 very good card. Another thing I've done, I've done in an emergency, beseech into a Toxic Deluge, which is legal, which is a legal play. But beseech is just too strong. I know the CMC is the mana cost is a little crazy with triple black, but it's still a very, very, very strong card. Sack a treasure, sack a dead mana vault, sack a soon to be dead Mystic Remora, whatever. Things like that. Not a big deal. You can bargain into it, no problem. And of course, the Praetor's Grasp. Just grab something from an opponent, grab their win con, grab a win con that works with you, anything really. For rituals, we have a Dark Ritual and a Cabal Ritual. We're not a turbo deck for a very long time. We've been off of Calling the Weak, Reign of Filth. We're not turbo nausing. We're not going into Peer into the Abyss. Those days are behind us for now. Hopefully we cycle back into it because I particularly love turbo decks. We have Born Upon a Wind, another card we're just playing around with right now. It combos nicely with Necropotence. Necropotence is a Beseech the Mirror target, but believe it or not, Necropotence is another card that I keep my eye on how it performs because it's very close to just being cut. The games go very long, and so I don't always have time to just like play a Necropotence for value. But if I did, and I draw into the Born Upon a Wind, maybe I could use some of the free mana rocks to just drop as much of my hand onto the board as possible on my end phase at the end of the turn with Necropotence. This is a thing you'll do in a Shimmerzer in 2023, but I don't know how it works. People swear by it. I don't think so. So I don't know how it works in real life. The opportunity hasn't come up for me yet, but we'll see. You can keep, you can follow the Moxfield link in the description to see the changes that are made to this deck over the years. And then some other draw, we have a Windfall and a Time Twister. I don't know how I feel about these cards either right now. I don't want to enable an opponent's Orcish Bowmaster. And Talion does draw a lot of cards, but still, so maybe I don't need both. Time Twister is nice to kind of reset an opponent's graveyard if they're on Breach. But these are little things I'll keep my eye on how they perform. And then moving right along, you have the best of the rest. We have our Mystic Remora, Ristic Study, the Necropotence. We have a Meathook Massacre as a nice card to reset the board. I can pay X = 3 to sort of clear the board a little bit, and Talion's unaffected by it. I could Mystic Warrant back to my hand. I could bargain with it. So there's a lot of okay things I could do with Meathook Massacre. Primarily there to maybe net a little bit of life. That's nice. Again, we're in a mid-range strategy. We're going for a very, very long time, boys and girls. 2-hour games in cEDH. So, it has utility. It has worked well for me. So it does make the cut, at least for now. I have no problems with it. Then for our artifacts, we have a Witchclaw Talisman, the other clone, Imposter Mech, the One Ring, which of course is another Beseech target. We have Lotus Petal, Jeweled Lotus, Talisman of Dominance. The signets, in my opinion, are a little bit power crept, even in 2-color decks. I don't think they're good anymore. So, they're relegated, in my opinion, to the pauper EDH decks. Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone, Chromox, Mox Opal, Mox Diamond, Mana Vault, Soul Ring, and Mana Crypt. Of course, we have all the fetches, all 7. We have our duels and our shocks. We have an island and a swamp and a snow island and a snow swamp because we're in Tainted Pact. We have an underground river, soon to be upgraded. This will be the only Pain land that I upgrade. Morphic Pool, Tainted Isle, to go fast. Berber, we have an Ancient Tomb, City of Traders. These are foil inners, by the way, not proxies, but foil inner sleeves for my non-foil cards. Some utility, we have a Cephalid Coliseum, Cabal Pit, Ottawada, and a Manamo School at Water's Edge, a really important card. One, I could do stupid shit while, I could swing off a Talion, and then, so now my Talion has like vigilance for the most part. And then you can untap your One Ring, which is really the reason why it's in there. I wouldn't do this in 3+ color decks. And it's really good. It's like the bee's knees in 2-color decks. What is it? Simic decks. Because you could just crop rotation into this. Really nice. For our Rainbow lands, we have a Gemstone Caverns, Command Tower, Plaza of Heroes, which I'm on. Kind of helps me protect Talion, Exotic Orchard, Mana Confluence, and a City of Brass. And there you have it. Talion, the Kindly Lord, phenomenal creature. Put it in the command zone, put it in the 99, put her somewhere, because that's where she belongs. I guess for the rest of the year, I'll feature Dimir decks. As a matter of fact, we got all these new fairies, and I love fairies. I love Dimir fairies so much. Like that's everything to me. In modern, even when it wasn't viable, I'd fuck with Dimir fairies all the time. And so I also have a deck tech with Nifris, a little bit older of a card, but a Nifris deck, believe it or not, is virtually the same exact build as Alila, the new Alila, the Dimir Alila deck. It's virtually the same thing. So that's a pretty cool commander, right? You just swap out one for the other depending on the matchups. I kind of like in high power pods, not cEDH, but in a high power pod. I like Alila because a lot of times it's a fucking 3v1, and so just goading the shit out of the opponents, right? I'm not spamming tokens or anything like that. I'm just like, it's pretty much just a Nifris deck. Nimris, I forget his name. Where you're just playing at instant speed, and so you get a fairy, boom, and then you start swinging in every direction and goading the hell out of your opponent's creatures, and they keep off your back. Because in high power, I do find myself in 3v1s all the time. So I'll do a deck tech for Nifris and Alila. It's the same deck. And then another Dimir commander that just came out. What is it? the new god from Ixalan, which I'm trying to like build. It's gonna be like a reanimator deck, which sucks. So we'll see how that pans out. But until then, ta ta. Thank you.